Good morning, people of the internet. You're listening to Debi Radio 79.5 FM, a podcast where we discuss the movie Grosse Pointe Blank 1 minute at a time. I am your co-host, Hugh David.
And I'm your other co-host, Dev Sodica. And on today's show, we're going to be looking at minute 70. And in this minute, Martin and Debbie get their badges for the event and make a beeline for the hard liquor.
So, couple of things that we need to start off with straight away. One is the name of the lady, or the name of the character, sorry, who's running the stand, because Dev, you described this beautifully before we started recording.
Arlene Ocelot Joseph, a name that I struggle to believe is a real name. Yeah.
It just doesn't sound real, does it?
It really doesn't. It's also like, I wonder if it's double-barreled because it's a double-barreled name, or if it's because she's kept her maiden name and hyphenated it. In which case, I feel like that's quite an early thing. Like, it's quite early to be doing that.
Yeah, it would give her character a bit more backbone, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. So, I'm also not finding her in the credits.
She's just under Arlene. Audrey Kissel.
Oh, yeah, Audrey Kissel. Okay.
So,
oh, the lake as well. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, she's done
Third Rock from the Sun as a guest.
Yeah. Not a huge... Okay. But the thing is, it looks like she's a costume designer as well, so that's kind of interesting. So she was an actress and is now a costume designer, so... yeah, I think it's interesting that... she's got an interesting face. That's one of the things you can say about this film in general. We were talking about
I feel like she missed her calling of appearing in Grease with this hairdo, this outfit, and the makeup. It feels like
that's kind of what they're going for, isn't it?
It really is that kind of 1950s rockabilly kind of vibe. But I think she just plays this role so well. Like that dialogue, that little interaction between these characters tells you everything about the awkwardness of being at a high school reunion, the kinds of people that take on the thankless task of organizing these reunions.
Yes, very true.
And everything about their relationship when they were still in high school.
Yes, very much so. Very much so.
It has everything there. It has the not knowing somebody, the remembering somebody and kind of wishing you didn't. It has the awkward filler puns and jokes that fall flat and don't land well, which we know Martin already kind of does.
Yeah, a certain style of humor, right?
Yeah,
that dates them all.
Yeah, absolutely. And then she's also like her proudest achievement is something that neither of these two characters values at all.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is, I think, really interesting, really telling of how messed up their priorities are in life. Like Debbie, I think. Well, I mean, Debbie, I think is fairly well balanced. She's just trying to find her way.
Yeah.
She knows what she likes. She knows what she enjoys. She does the things she wants. Yeah. She's still somewhat unfulfilled.
I love the fact that Arlene refuses to look at Debbie when she gives Debbie her card. She looks Martin in the face, and then as she's giving Debbie the card, goes, "Here you go, Debbie. Love your show." Yeah. Clearly, she doesn't love the show, and she doesn't like it.
No.
And Debbie's response is, "Thank you, Arlene. You're our target demographic."
Oh yeah, no. I mean, I feel like this is a character that is like, active member in like the DAR, or the Daughters of the American Revolution, right? And this right. Kind of fairly snooty, elitist group of stay-at-home moms and affluent women who, she has this kind of sense of what is good and what is not good, and I think she clearly disapproves of the kind of music that Debbie is playing on the radio.
God, absolutely. Right? She's the person who disapproved of it at school and still disapproves of it.
Yeah, exactly. It's not what will be played in Sunday school or whatever, right? Like it's that kind of an attitude. And the boundless enthusiasm and the volunteerism and like many things playing into each other, it feels like, that just get conveyed in like less than a minute of dialogue, 30 seconds of dialogue.
It's brilliant. It's that economy we've been praising throughout this podcast, this absolute economy of not just the editing, but going right back to the way the scripts is delivered.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is wonderful. The reaction shots and the back and forth, and the way Debbie kind of just, Debbie being there for this long. This is I imagine this is what it's like for Debbie every day in this town, right? She runs into people, and this is what it's like. And and I wonder if Arlene, do you think Arlene envies Debbie's sort of freedom and, the sense that Debbie hasn't really changed, has she? Right? Debbie's not a mum. She's not a wife.
I don't know. I mean, maybe there's a part of that. I feel like mostly Arlene doesn't understand why Debbie's not doing anything with her life.
Yeah, there's that. Yeah, that makes sense.
It's like nothing that Debbie's done conforms to any of what Arlene expects as a worthwhile life, right?
Right.
She's not, investing in the community in a way that she values. She's not raising kids. She's not, running church services. She's not doing any of the things that a quote unquote good woman should be doing, I guess.
Okay.
It is very much a culture clash.
It's fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. It really is. And as you said, Arlene looks like she's walked out of the 50s.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm looking at her badge photo. I've just paused it for a moment here, halfway through the minute, and her badge photo is nowhere near as bad as, like, she might have had this character when she was younger, but she looks a lot more fun and casual.
I think
frankly,
that
the hair's down,
Yeah.
and
It feels like it's that standard trope of the super successful, popular, like preppy kid in high school that was, on the cheerleading squad, dating the football player, maybe like being egged along a little bit by some of the less reputable kids, but probably still towing the line a little bit, and then found somebody who was doing well to settle down with, and like everything kind of unraveled into this miasma of like, kids in my life now.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Two guys, neither of whom are.
I know, right? I was about to say that we are not the people to be saying this, but as I'm sure is your case as well, we have loads of friends going through this, and
absolutely.
The number of my friends who have relishing today's in England is Mothering Sunday, and the amount of them who have relished having a couple of hours for themselves this morning, where the kids make them breakfast, and that really remarkable. Because it reminds you just how much of their time is taken up with everything else related to children, and that the joy of being allowed a few moments for themselves is so acute. I think you're right. I think Arlene fits into that mold, but don't think she has the character that most of my friends are nothing like her. They're still like Debbie, just with the kids, which I think is really fascinating. I think that's really fascinating how times have changed. These are people in your age bracket, right? And I find that really interesting that you don't have to be in the 50s manner to be that way anymore.
Yeah.
There's a much more kind of varied approach. I mean, one of them I'm thinking of has got 3 kids, but she's given up teaching to be an athlete, professional athlete, right? Triathlon. There's another one I know who has got 2 kids, and she's in computing, but the other thing she pushes herself on is marathons and weightlifting. And then another one who's busy working for a local business here involving perfumes and soaps and that sort of thing, right? But she also raises 4 kids, and you're just like, yeah, okay, but none of them are like Arlene, and I think that speaks volumes as to how far we potentially come, I guess.
Yeah. So after this interaction and after Arlene's managed to move on to the next couple, we see them walk into the gym school. I'm not
Yeah.
entirely sure what this room is.
Well, yeah, because
Gymnasium,
there's all
maybe?
those chairs, right? So
Right.
is it like a theater?
Could be a theater, but it's got a lot of
Oh
like
yeah,
floor
no.
space for a
Well, there's
theater.
definitely. Hang on, no, this is the school hall because you can see the curtains as they come to the
Yeah,
bar.
and there's the podium, but it's still a lot of floor space, I feel.
Yeah,
Like for a
possibly.
dance floor, like I
I mean,
mean,
it depends what the school is using it for. Like these days. My current school, the hall was originally designed with no seating at all. It's all
mm,
parquet, right? So you have to put all the darn seats out, which is an insanely elaborate process to go through before and after an assembly, right? We
yeah,
have finally, after I don't know how long, got in some movable bleachers, and that now has, and we can turn it one of two ways, and we have two sets of screens and stuff. So, but we still have this big space in the middle you can use, right? So
right.
plays, concerts, all that sort of thing. I imagine because they've got what look like a fixed set of row like theatrical seats, and then we've got this massive space. I imagine this is a dual space hall. We
Mm,
can add a whole set of rows at the front to be like the stalls for theatre, and we've got the back rows.
yeah,
Or you can have a big dance hall area in the middle, and then the other rows are optional or not needed, or do you know what I mean? It allows them some scope, which is given the size of the building and everything from outside makes sort of sense to me. The school doesn't look so poor that it can't afford a dual purpose hall.
right. Yeah, yeah.
Um,
It's yeah,
it,
and it's just got the lighting, and we also get Aha at this point, right? Which
mhm.
is
Back and
just
forth,
a
going
little
back to
bit
the
too
80s,
real
back
as
to the
far as
90s.
scoring. Yeah,
Yeah. It's going back and forth, isn't it? It feels like the whole thing is jumping around.
I feel
Um,
like at this point it settles pretty steadily into that 80s genre, right? We've got Aha, and I think most of the tracks coming up are in that 80s, maybe late 80s
mm, mm,
uh,
mm.
kind of window. But
Yeah.
yeah, Aha is just such a great way of kicking it off, I feel. It's
It's
like
funny.
it's everything that they would have disdained when they were in high school as musically, right? Like
Yep.
it would have been on everywhere, ever present, but not their genre, Martin and Debbie's genre.
Mm, hmm. Agreed. Agreed. It is fascinating. It's just going back and seeing this film over again in such minute detail and just picking out these things. And as you say, timing is everything, right? And of course, we're going to get one more person who is, going to highlight the awkwardness of them. Uh, I keep trying to work out if Debbie's doing the half coat thing because it's fashionable at the time or because she doesn't know what to do with the coat because she's relatively underdressed compared to most of the women.
Um,
But it
I
looks good
don't
on her.
know.
It looks good on
I
her.
think you might be right. I think it may be a case of like she didn't quite want to put it in coat check because she
Yep.
felt like she may need to be smart enough to
Yep.
wear it,
Yep. Or run away.
but she also
Leave.
doesn't want to wear it because she doesn't like dressing up, and that's not the
Yep.
kind of person she is. She just so she's kind of hanging on to it like like a safety blanket or
Mm.
something.
Mm. Yeah. No, I agree. She's wearing it like one. And then we get that
Yep.
wonderful bit of dialogue where he orders the double vodkas, right? And she goes, "When do we start relating?" And he's like, "Any minute now." I mean, they're so awkward. I love that about them. I love that it's this like adult amplification of the teenage awkwardness they had. That
Yeah.
because people around them are looking awkward in a much more laid back way, right? In a much more kind of grown up. Yeah, this is what we got to do. Turn up, press the flash, kind of thing. These two are like
Yeah.
proper. Oh god, get the booze down on us, you know. And then she spots Ken Alderush.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess this is kind of like we've talked to before about the levels of success that these people have had going out
Yes.
high school. And I think Ken is probably one of those ones that was not super popular in high school, but has, seemingly made it, right? He's working in a law firm back in the 90s. That was, a pretty prestigious career, pretty well paid. He's dressed the part,
I mean, he's got like a proper post Miami Vice baggy cream suit with the massive shoulders and the weird sort of V/ double breast, single breast. It's hard to tell because of the way these things. You know what I mean? It's just there's so much lapel there. It's like
there's so much lapel. Yeah, it's that. You're right. It is very.
I mean, this is Carlos Jacket, who's, again, like Mitch Ryan, is one of those guys you will recognize from a billion places. Again, film and TV. Again, serious and comedy.
Yeah.
I mean, this film is a who's who of actors who are perfectly at ease in either medium, perfectly at ease in either genre. And again, this is all part of what contributes towards making this film work so well. He's another one who has shown up in Aaron Sorkin TV shows. He has a much smaller part in The West Wing than Flynn did, but then he has a bigger part in Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip. Also did The Third Rock from the Sun. All that stuff.
That staple of the late 90s into early 2000s.
Angel, Ally McBeal. But then he's also the agent in Being John Malkovich.
Yeah.
And he's another Buffy alum.
Yep. He's also called Ken in Buffy.
Yeah, funny that. So he's
I think he does have some kind of similarity to Ken and Barbie Ken. Barbie and Ken Ken.
Yeah.
Barbie and Ken Ken. And I think that might be a little bit wide, that name or that association.
I mean, as far as I can see, this is his first this is his second, film role. It's film, then TV, and then this, and Grosse Pointe Blank. And I think that's kind of interesting because I think of him as somebody I'm so used to seeing, but we really are, in his case, right at the beginning of his career.
Yeah.
And he's still around. He was in Barbie.
He is, and this character is definitely hanging by the bar this entire evening. Like,
yeah, right.
It's the only place we see him this entire evening, I think.
Which says it all, right?
Yeah.
And then we get the pleasantries. And the last thing, as we end this minute, is an over Ken's shoulder shot with Martin and Debbie. Martin has a halfway genuine grin on his face. He's obviously not comfortable, but he's putting on the face. Debbie, on the other hand, is giving side eye like nobody's business. Like, who is this Martin? What have you done with the regular Martin? Like Martin has gone from freaked out ordering the vodka to perfectly, hey, I'm the guy, let's talk. He's changed in a split second, because guess what? That's the guy we know.
Yeah.
From the start of the film, who plays these roles and worms his way into people's confidence and gets people killed. And she's just got that look like, who the hell is this? And I love that about her acting. About, Minnie Driver's face there is priceless.
Yeah.
Absolutely priceless. But that's where the minute ends. On the lines, isn't this great? So we shall end it there.
Absolutely. So, this was minute 70 of the Grosse Pointe Blank podcast, Debi Radio 79.5 FM, featuring your hosts, co-writers, and co-producers, Dev Sodiger and Hugh David.
Find us at all good podcast players, as well as on YouTube, Twitter, X and Spotify. And in all cases, the handle there is at Debi Radio. Our website is also debiradio.com, and in all cases, it is spelled DEBI Radio.
And if you want to talk with us, you can join us on our Facebook listeners group, Debi Radio 79.5 FM Fan Club.
Sure was clear that all of this was new. Concentrating hard like a little girl, smoking for the first time. It wasn't a moment, it was a feeling.